Hello and welcome back to the Calculator Review, hosted on caliquin.com. It's another day of Calculatober, and I've got something that I think is pretty unique, especially for the content that I create, and that is this. It is a Game Boy cartridge. It is the InfoGenius Productivity Pack with a spell checker and calculator. This only works on a Game Boy or Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, or as we'll get to it, the Super Game Boy, which is what I'll be using to show how this thing works. But before I get into that, I'm going to go ahead and put it into an original 1989 Game Boy. And yeah, it takes a while to load. Or I don't know if it's loading, it just takes a long time for that Nintendo thing to scroll down. Anyway, so this is the application, and I am aware that it doesn't look good here. It'll look better when I switch over to the Super Nintendo version, sort of. But for now, I just wanted to show it running on an original Game Boy, so we'll select Calculator. And it is much easier to see in person. So if you've ever used a Game Boy, you know that there's all kinds of lighting issues and angle issues. So there's just no point in trying to show this thing on an original Game Boy. So I'm going to turn that off and get the next part of this set up, which is a Super Nintendo with the Super Game Boy cartridge. So what this allows me to do is play original Game Boy games on a Super Nintendo, and it also adds a little bit of color, and you'll see. So all you do is slide this in here, plug that in, and turn on the power, and the next thing you should see is this on screen. Alright, so it's loading up, and here is the main screen of the InfoGenius Systems Spell Checker and Calculator. Got some credits here. Not a whole lot of people seem to be involved with this. And you can see this came out in 1991. I'm just gonna let it go through all of this. It's got some interesting sources, I guess. So, here's the main menu of this cartridge, and you have a spell checker and a calculator, and nothing else. There are no secrets, as far as I can tell, to be found. But let's start with the spell checker, and I'm gonna pretend I don't know how to spell calculator. So CALCULATER, and then I'll press start, and it's going to take a moment for it to search through its database of 60,000 words and find anything that it might be. Okay, so here are some possibilities, and you can see it's got calculate, calculated, calculates, calculator, and calculators, as well as a few other words, encapsulate, that it could possibly be. So it's not incredibly fast or anything, but I would say this is a bit faster than, searching through a dictionary or something trying to find a specific word. And this does have a little bit of intelligence behind it too, because it's able to make some guesses, whereas a book wouldn't be able to do that. So you would have to know at least part of the spelling to get it. Whereas with this, you just need to know what it kind of sounds like, and it'll be able to find the correct word for you. So, kind of neat. So let's leave that and check out the calculator. And so here's the main page of the calculator. In order to press any buttons, you have to move this little finger around to make selections. And yeah, it's an okay calculator. It works fine. There's no memory built in or anything like that, so pretty bare bones as far as functionality goes. But as you can see, it works fine. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So, like I do with most calculators, I wanted to see what it would do with 2 square root times 2 square root. So if I hit the square root button, you can actually see it performing the calculation. It's very quick, but it's a neat little animation to show it. Unfortunately, when I try to multiply this by 2 square root, yeah, so functions don't carry over from one calculation to the next. So let's say I want to do 9 times 5, so we'll get 45, but if I hit the equal sign again, it doesn't have a function to work with. So I can't just keep hitting 9 times 5 times 5. I have to actually go through, hit times 5, times 5. So, not great. Yeah, so the buttons are only going to feel as good as the Game Boy or Super Nintendo pad, or possibly even a GameCube controller, if you have everything to hook that up to. So you could turn either a regular Game Boy, a Super Nintendo, and the GameCube into a calculator with this cartridge. I'm not entirely sure if the Nintendo 64 had the ability to use Game Boy cartridges. I don't know that off the top of my head. If it does, I'd love to hear about that, because that would be pretty cool to read about and possibly get. But yeah, I think I found this for about $5 on eBay. Sorry, I'm getting messages. Yeah, I found this for just a few bucks on eBay. And this was definitely something that I thought would be really interesting to add to my collection, because I also collect video games. So to have something that crosses the threshold of both video games and calculators is pretty cool. And I just love watching that little animation. I don't know if animation is the right word for it, but it's satisfying seeing the number grow. Just seeing all these square roots. See, I'm not entirely, I wonder how many digits this is. It's hard to tell because I'm using this on a widescreen mode. I had to convert the signal from the Super Nintendo to HDMI to be able to capture it, so I can't really tell how wide things are. 8, 9, so 10, oh, looks like it's only up to 9 digits. Okay. And if you try to do too many, it's going to go to the overflow before you can even perform any kind of calculation. So if I were to... Yeah, not a shocker there. So yeah, like I said, very basic functionality. Nothing really interesting going on with these colors, but it wasn't really designed with a color screen in mind. The Super Game Boy is what's creating the colors for this, and I guess it shows yellow and blue as the 2 main colors. There is a way to change it, if I can remember. Here we go. So yeah, this isn't really a discussion of the Super Game Boy, but if you really wanted to, you could change the color scheme. Oh, that one's kind of neat. You can also design your own custom color schemes depending on what you're playing. And you can change the backgrounds too. I like having the Game Boy one. Yeah, and controllers, I'm just using the standard layout here. So yeah, that's the InfoGenius Productivity Pack Spell Checker and Calculator. This company did make a couple other pieces of software for the Game Boy similar to this. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'll probably write about them in my website. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope this was interesting. I find it pretty cool, even if it isn't the most exciting calculator in the world. and I don't know how to leave this. Oh, here we go. So yeah, for something that's as old as it is, it runs pretty well. Anyway, so that's the review. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!